Well, hello, hello, and welcome back. Thank you so much for watching this and listening to me read In the Company of Witches. I'm having so much fun, and I hope you're enjoying the book. Just want to remind you once again, this is the first time I've read it. I am getting easier. It is getting easier to get into the characters, but just bear with me because I won't be editing any of it. So, are you guys ready to cuddle up in your nice chair or sofa with your beverage? Maybe some of you in front of the fire? Here we go. Chapter 9. Nora, Nora, Nora. Izzy and I quickly recovered ourselves off the floor, but Nora had a pretty good head start down the stairs. We need to talk about this, Izzy called after her sister. You locked me in a room against my will. I think the time for talking has passed. That's only because I knew you would react like this. You know no such thing, Nora said, sweeping down the steps. You don't give me enough credit. I can be very reasonable. Then what are you going to say to the police? Nora stopped dead. Izzy and I bumped into each other, trying to stop too. She laid her fingertips lightly on the handrail, then looked back at us. I will ask them kindly, remove themselves from my greenhouse, or I will destroy each and every one of their bloodlines. That's not reasonable. We all resumed our chase. You two need to relax. I'm not going to do anything. If you had come to me in a civilized manner in the first place, I would have told you I just want to supervise the search. There are rare plants in that greenhouse, not to mention dangerous ones. Don't you think it would be best if I were there to guide them? This time Izzy stopped her descent. Really? That's all you want to do? Yes, really. If that's the case, then I'm sorry, Izzy said, speeding up again. It's just that your temper sometimes gets the better of you, and as your big sister, I'll always want to protect you. Nora made it to the front hall landing and swirled around to face us. I accept your apology. She spun back around and reached for the door handle. I came to her side just in time to hear her whisper, "But if any one of those filthy officers has rummaged through my herbs, I'll remove their toes and fry them up like shrimp." What was that? Izzy asked, rushing behind us. Nothing, sister dear, Nora said, swinging the door open. Izzy looked at me, but all I could manage was a weak smile. Bartholomew Barnes, Nora commanded, striding down the front steps. What is the meaning of all this? Beatty's shoulders slumped. Now, Nora, I can promise you this is all legal. They had the judge's signature. Who is this judge? I would like to have a word with him. Over my dead body, Beatty whispered, and I think we've all had enough of those. Look, we're almost through this, and from what I've seen, they haven't found a single piece of evidence that would point to any of you as suspects in what's rapidly becoming an official murder investigation. So, if you know what's good for you, you'll stay calm. Beatty's lecture was cut short by a couple of shouts from the backyard. Then a small group of officers came around the side, the man in the front holding out a clear plastic bag. It took me a moment to discern what was inside, but once I had, it was unmistakable. A mallet. All the color drained from Nora's face, turning her skin a ghostly white against her dark red hair. Beatty didn't say anything as he watched the officers take the bag to the van. You have to believe me, Nora said, grabbing Beatty's arms. I was looking for my mallet yesterday. It was missing. I left it outside the day before Constance died. I haven't seen it since. The lawyer patted her hand and gave it a squeeze. Let's not panic. I'm going to go to the station. But, Nora, I have to be honest with you. It's time you looked for another attorney. This is out of my depth. He headed towards his car as the rest of the officers packed up. I don't understand, Nora said, standing alone in the center of the yard. How could this have happened? I don't understand either. Izzy took a step towards her sister. First Constance, and now this? No, Nora said, whirling around to to face this. I mean, how could this have happened? Someone planted that mallet in my greenhouse. I checked it thoroughly the day after Constance died. And you said you warded the property. I did. Izzy put her hand on her chest. No one should have been able to set foot inside the greenhouse without being overcome with pain. I did take it down when the police arrived. I was worried I wouldn't be able to give anyone permission before they came in. But the ward was up. It may not have been my best work. I was upset that night, but I did the spell. Nora stomped past Izzy towards the house. Nora, wait. I'm sure I did it properly. Don't go. We'll figure this out. We will. Will we? Nora said, spinning around on the porch. Thick vines crawled up and around the pillars on each side of the steps. Izzy rushed forward. Sister, please, she scolded in a tight whisper. Get control. We're outside. I don't care where we are. As far as I can tell, someone is trying to frame me for murder. And on the one hand, I have my lovely niece refusing to use the gift she was born with to help me out. And on the other hand, I have my sister, who has no trouble in a room, trapping me in a room, but can't perform the most basic of spells to protect me. Nora, Izzy pleaded, that's not fair. No, if you'll excuse me, I think I need to be alone to figure out what it is that I'm going to do next to clear my name. Apparently, I am all alone in this. Izzy and I watched helplessly as Nora disappeared into the house. I put my hand on my aunt's shoulder. I'm sure I did the spell correctly. I'm sure you did. There has to be some other explanation, I sighed. She's just upset. We need to give her time. You're right, Izzy said, but she sounded miserable. You did the right thing. You know she was lying to you when she said she just wanted to talk to the officers, right? She would have cut off their toes and fried them up like shrimp if I'd let her. Well, maybe not really. Izzy frowned at me. Why are you smiling? I'm sorry, it's nothing. As soon as the word left my mouth, I realized how true they were. No, there was nothing much funny about the situation at all. Let's go inside. The rest of the day was quiet. Beatty called to say the mallet had gone into forensics, and he was looking into lawyers for us, on top of the fact that he did not specialize in stars help us, criminal law. He was worried about potential conflicts of interest given that he was Constance's lawyer too. Nora spent the day in her room, Izzy in the kitchen, and I just hung out on the main floor, not quite sure what to do with myself. Things were obviously not going in the direction we had hoped. I need to do something, but the question was, what? I had to talk to Constance's siblings, but that might be easier said than done, given the rumors that had been flying through town. It was unlikely anyone of Constance's family would want to talk to anyone from ours now. So, until I figured out how best to approach the situation, I was left with only one other option. The one I had been trying so hard to avoid. After Nora had stormed off, the guilt had set in. I couldn't help but think she was right about my role in this. Just because I hadn't been able to see a ghost since Adam had passed, that wasn't an excuse not to try. Nora was in trouble. We were all in trouble, and I needed to do everything in my power to try to get us out of it. I could hear pots clanking and cupboards slamming open and shut in the kitchen. Izzy was cooking up a storm, by the sound of it, so it was the perfect time to slip upstairs without her noticing. And given Nora wasn't exactly speaking to us, I had little concern she would check up on me. I clenched my hands into fist, and I headed up the stairs. It was strange to feel so nervous about doing something that had been part of my life for as long as I could remember. Even when I was little, I had been able to see people who had passed. My tea parties had been quite well attended back then. and I was never at a loss to find someone to play checkers with, even if I even if I did have to move all the pieces myself. I had always felt blessed to have been born with the gift, even knowing that it meant I would never be able to speak to my own departed loved ones. That's right. You could say it was the one caveat to the power. The witching community believed that particular little twist was sort of a failsafe to protect the mental well-being of the witches on the other side. How could you possibly move on with your life if you could see and talk to your own loved ones like nothing had happened? And perhaps even more importantly, there would be nothing strong enough to compel the departed to step into the light. It had always made sense to me, and I had simply accepted it as a fact. But facts have a way of providing cold comfort when you're the one experiencing the loss. I climbed the last few steps of the second floor, being sure to avoid all the creaky spots along the way, then headed to the rosewater room. The last rays from the setting sun stretched across the floor and filled the space with a hazy pink glow. I quickly clicked the door shut. I quietly clicked the door shut, then walked over to the plush rug in the center of the room. I sat down facing the bathroom and crossed my legs. I suppose I could have gone into the bathroom itself, but it really shouldn't matter. If Constance wanted to talk, she'd find me. I closed my eyes and took a long, slow breath. The room was completely quiet except for the steady tick of the clock resting on the mantel. Constance? I called out in a soft voice. It's Bryn Warren. If you're here, I'd like to speak with you. I peeked one eye open, hoping she'd be there, but no such luck. I shut it again. Constance? I didn't need to open my eyes that time. I knew she wasn't there. Or if she was, the veil between us was too strong for me to be able to sense her. I felt nothing. When I used to communicate with ghosts, there was always a feeling present, an excitement maybe, a quickening of magic. I could feel it tingling through every cell in my body. But now there was just nothing, not even a spark. I sighed. I knew that would be the case. The truth was, when my husband died, my gift left with him. It's hard to describe how terrible those early days were. At first, all I focused on was seeing ghosts. I knew I wasn't going to be able to see Adam, but I always believed he would be able to get a message to me. We had talked about it when he was still alive. He promised me if he died first, he would wait until another person passed in Evanfall so that he could give them his final words. Of course, we had these conversations thinking such scenarios was a lifetime away. We even laughed about what his message might be. We never imagined it would turn out this way, that we'd have so little time. So I waited to hear from him. But time went on. People did pass, and I couldn't see any of them. I panicked, and despite what Nora thought, I had tried. I tried every bit of magic ever described in every book we owned to get my powers back. I tried spells, rituals, seances. Nothing worked. My gift was just gone. That's why I made the decision, the one my aunt still didn't know about. Adam was gone. My gift was gone. And I was done. Done with magic. I didn't set out for it to be that way. Not at first. But as the days went on, I found myself practicing magic less and less until it got to the point where I didn't cast a single spell for days, then weeks, then months, and somehow it hurt less. Once I realized that, everything made more sense. Losing my husband meant my life would never be the same. I would never be the same. I knew it in my core, but my aunts would never understand. They would try, but how could they? They were Warren witches. I didn't realize how long it had been I had been sitting in the room, thinking all the same old thoughts until I looked around and saw it was dark. Constance, I called out again. If you're there, I just want you to know I'm sorry. There must be a million things you'd like to tell those of us left behind, but for whatever reason, I can't be the person to hear them anymore. I planted my hands on the floor and pushed myself up to standing. But I'm not giving up. I'm still going to do everything I can to find out what happened to you. I walked towards the door. It just might be a little harder without your help. Thump! I jumped and whirled around. A book lay toppled on the floor. That hadn't been there a moment ago, and I was pretty sure I hadn't imagined that sound. I looked over the window, but I knew it was shut. Besides, a breeze couldn't have knocked it over. My skin prickled as I looked around the empty room. Constance?